Hey there nerds, and welcome to part 2 of my top 10 horror movies video. Okay, so if you haven't already seen part 1, I would just head back there and watch that first to see what were numbers 10 to 6. In this video we're going to pick up where we left off, and we're going to go from number 5 up to number 1. Okay, so number 5 is the movie It. So I've got my my Funko Pop of Pennywise from It. Any excuse to get this out, because I'm not allowed this out on display because my fiance is extremely scared of clowns. So It was a movie that was originally aired on TV. So it was a TV movie, and it was aired in 2 parts. It was I think it came out in 1990, and it was based on Stephen King's novel of the same name. So the movie starred Tim Curry as Pennywise the Clown, who in fact turned out to be an interdimensional predatory life form, which has the ability to turn itself into its prey's worst fears. So he definitely hit that nail on the head if he was after my fiance. But yeah, so in the film it mainly takes the form of Pennywise the Dancing Clown. The film follows a group of kids, and then when they're older, as adults, known as the Losers, and each of the members has their own issues and encounters with Pennywise. So each of them have to conquer their greatest fears as they try and defeat Pennywise. So yeah, I really love this film. Again, I watched this one when I was a kid, and you know, I'm not scared of clowns, but I mean, yeah, he is a scary clown. I mean, let's face it. And I think this movie probably is the single biggest reason for a vast majority of the world's population for being scared of clowns, to be perfectly honest with you. I know they're doing a remake this year. Or was it next year? I know there's a remake of it coming out soon. I haven't seen anything of it, but you know, most remakes are crap, let's face it. But I'll give it a look because I do love this film. I just don't know how I'm going to watch it because my fiance's not going to watch it with me, and I don't want to go and see it on my own. And so yeah, I have to find one of my mates to go with me, I guess. So yeah, that's it. Okay, so number 4 is Halloween. Okay, so Halloween was released in 1978, and it was directed by John Carpenter and starred Donald Pleasence and Jamie Lee Curtis. And it was set in the fictional Midwestern American town of Haddonfield, Illinois. So basically in the movie, in 1963, a 6-year-old Michael Myers, dressed in a clown costumes again, he murders his older sister by stabbing her with a kitchen knife, as you do. The film picks up 15 years later. Michael Myers returns, aged 21, after escaping from mental hospital. He returns to Haddonfield and stalks Laurie Strode, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, and her friends. Michael Myers is a psychiatrist, suspects what he's up to, and he follows him to Haddonfield to try and stop him. So yeah, one of the early slasher movies. A lot of slasher films took a lot from this film. Friday the 13th in particular, I think, took a lot. Based a lot of it on Halloween. Yeah, it's one of the original slashers. Michael Myers is a cool, iconic horror villain, murderer. And yeah, really good film, love it. I really actually like the remake of Halloween done by Rob Zombie, and not a lot of remakes are much good, but the remake is very good film. I wouldn't put it above the original because the original is the original and it's a brilliant film. But yeah, it's a really good film. So yeah, check that out if you haven't already. Okay, number 3 is an amazing film, The Shining. Okay, so The Shining was produced and directed by Stanley Kubrick and starred Jack Nicholson. One of Jack Nicholson's best movies by a mile, I think. And it was based on Stephen King's 1977 novel of the same name. But the film and the novel, they differ in quite significant ways. I haven't read the novel, but I know this is the case. I don't really do it or reading, if I'm honest. So basically in the film, Jack Torrance, he's a writer and a recovering alcoholic. He basically takes a job to be the caretaker of a hotel during the winter when no one can get to it, and he's got to look after the building. He takes his family with him, his wife and his kid. Yeah, it's a really isolated hotel called the Overlook Hotel. So his young son seems to possess some sort of psychic abilities, and he's able to see things from the past and future, and he can see ghosts and stuff like that. So sometime after settling in, they get trapped in the hotel grounds by a snowstorm. Jack gradually becomes under the influence of spirits within the hotel, and he basically descends into madness, resulting in trying to attempt to murder his family. Some of the weirdest and creepiest parts in this film. I mean, just the sheer silence of it is creepy enough when he's wandering around these silent corridors. You don't know what's going to happen next. But some of the weirdest things was when you've got the two little twin girls. They're creepy as hell. You've got the manky woman in the bath. He goes into a room and there's a woman who's really beautiful in the bath, and he's thinking, oh yeah, try me luck here. And then when he starts kissing her, he realises she's actually this manky, maggoty woman. That was pretty weird. By far the weirdest thing in this movie is when he walks past a room to a man being given oral sex by another, I presume, man dressed in a bear costume. What's that all about? It's so weird. And yeah, a lot of people were influenced in this. You got 30 Seconds to Mars. They did a video for The Kill, which was based on this movie. And yeah, one of the all-time best horror films, I think. Okay, so we're getting up to the top 2 now, and this might be slightly cliched and obvious what are my top 2, but I've got to be true to myself, and these are the 2 films I loved when I was watching horror films as a kid. Number 2 is Friday the 13th. Now I say Friday the 13th, I'm actually including Friday the 13th through to number 9. Number 8. Anything after that is really not very good, but 1 to 8 when he goes to Manhattan, they were my favourites. The whole series of movies is my number 2. So the first movie was released in 1980, and it was initially made to cash in on the success of Halloween. The movie revolves around Camp Crystal Lake, which is a campsite for teens. Some of the kids at the camp, they tell the stories of a boy who drowned in the lake, and the camp was subsequently closed after that and has just reopened. And basically, the kid's Jason, and he was, picked on and teased because he was deformed, he looked weird, and basically the counsellors weren't keeping an eye on him, and he ended up drowning in the lake. But yeah, once the camp reopens, teens quickly start dying left, right and centre. And yeah, the series has 10 films, but number 10 is Jason X. Wish I could forget that movie even exists. It's awful. Number 9, Jason Goes to Hell. Up to number 8 is the one I think I love them. Progressively, again, they get sillier and sillier as they go along. But I really love all of them, to be honest with you. In the series of movies, Jason is either the killer or the motivation for the killing. I don't want to. If you haven't watched Friday the 13th, the original one, I don't want to spoil anything for you. But we all know Jason Voorhees is the predominant killer in the series. So if you haven't watched it, you need to go and see it. You've been living under a rock. Yeah, so yeah, I had to put this as number 2. Jason Voorhees, an iconic horror figure, the maniac in the hockey mask with a machete. Awesome. Okay, so at number 1, there's only one film that I could put at number 1. My favourite horror film by a long stretch. My favourite horror figure is Freddy Krueger. So again, this is the whole series, Nightmare on Elm Street. Probably Nightmare on Elm Street 1 to 6. 6, I remember when 6 came out, I was at primary school, and it was 3D. It was when 3D was like a real big thing at the time, and all that. But it wasn't very good in 3D. It wasn't a very good film either, to be honest with you. But yeah, number 1, number 2, I think actually might just edge it. But number 1 was so good. So number 1 was released in 1984 and directed by Wes Craven, one of the masters of horror, and it was starring Heather Langenkamp and Johnny Depp in I think it was his first feature role. And also Robert Englund, of course, as Freddy Krueger. So the film sees a group of teens being stalked in their dreams by a disfigured man in a brown cap and a red and green stripy jumper with knives on his hand. So Nancy's the main character. She tries to find a way to stop Freddy. She realises that if he kills you in your dream, you die for real. But Nancy works out a way to bring Freddy out of the dream. Along the way in the different dreams, she works out that she's bringing things out with her, like his hat. She wakes up and she's holding his hat. She's grabbed it off his head in the dream, and she's waking up with his hat. So she can take things out of the dream. So they hatch a plot to take him out of the dream, so they can actually, try and stop him. It's an awesome film. Scared me to death when I was a kid, but he just intrigued me. Even though it scared me, I was intrigued. I had to keep watching it, and I think he's the ultimate horror killer villain. I love Freddy Krueger is definitely the one, my top out of all of them. Yeah, again, it had several sequels, each one getting sillier and funnier as they go along. Number 5, The Dream Child, was silly. Number 4 was, I think, is one of my favourite ones. It's really silly, but it took me a long time as a kid to try and get hold of that VHS to watch it. It holds a special place in my heart because that was the one. It was like a mission that I set myself. I had to get hold of it. And it took me such a long time to get hold of it. And yeah, but numbers 1 to 3 I think are really good. 1 and 2 definitely the best two, I think. And then also there's a remake, and which that was okay. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't brilliant. And unnecessary again, like all these remakes are. And there's also the crossover film Freddy vs Jason, which is a stupid film, but it's it's good fun. Okay, so that is my top 10, guys. I hope you've enjoyed these couple of videos. If you have, please give it a like. Leave some comments about what are your top 10 horror films. I'm really interested to know what other people like. We all like different things, so it's really interesting to see what other people, what order people put their top 10s in. So feel free to drop that in the comments. If you haven't already, guys, subscribe to my channel. Loads more horror stuff on here, other movie-related stuff, Funko Pop unboxings. So yeah, check out my previous videos, and if you enjoy, subscribe. So thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you next time. Catch you later.